Shri Gurubhyo Namaha children. I am happy and excited to meet you all in yet another session of your English online learning. In today's class, we are going to see a poem from chapter 8 of your class 9 English book. The poem is On Killing a Tree, written by Cbse Patel. Okay, let us understand the title before going into the poem, children. On Killing a Tree. In this poem, the poet is explaining the details about how to kill a tree. Okay, there is a desperate comparison made between the tree and the human body. Okay, and he sarcastically brings out how painful it would be for the tree to be killed. He is comparing the life of a tree to the life of a human being and the pain also. Let us move on to know more about Cbse Patel. Cbse Patel was born in 18th August 1940. He was a Parsi poet, a playwright, a painter and a physician. He was also actively participating in the Green Movement, wherein there was a conservation of environment. So, he involved himself in the conservation of environment. Let us move on to the poem, children. It takes much time to kill a tree. Not a simple jab of the knife will do it. So, he starts the poem like this. It takes much time, not like just a swing you cannot kill a tree, not with just a cut you can kill a tree. There is a lot of difference between cutting a tree and killing a tree. Here, jab means a quick sharp blow. A quick sharp blow with any tool or an object is a jab. So, he says that just by cutting it you cannot kill a tree, that will not kill a tree. It has grown slowly, consuming the earth, rising out of it, feeding upon its crust, absorbing years of sunlight, air, water, and out of its leprous hide sprouting leaves. So, he says that a tree is not just like that grown. Okay, he is comparing the tree with a human, I already told you. So, human beings just like that don't grow, they take time, they consume, they nourish themselves, only out of which they grow. Similarly, a tree also consumes the energy, it nourishes itself from the nutrients with the help of its roots. Only after that it grows, and it takes lots of years for a tree to grow into a gigantic thing. So, how does it grow? It consumes the earth. Consuming means eating or feeding upon for nourishment. Okay, it consumes the earth, rising out of it. So, out of the earth it has to rise. Okay, it cannot keep growing under the earth. It has to rise above the earth by consuming the energy from the earth, feeding upon its crust. The crust is the top layer of the earth, or the outermost layer of the earth is called as the crust. So, it has to grow out of the earth, out of the crust by consuming the energy from the earth. No, the roots help it, yes or no? The root helps the trees to consume the energy from the earth. It absorbs years of sunlight, air, water. So, not only nutrients, energy, it requires sunlight, air, water, everything it has to absorb. Okay, it has to endure all the climates, and slowly it grows. Okay, stronger and stronger day by day, like a human child, out of its leprous hide. So, leprous hide means skin. And how is the skin? It is leprous. All of us know what is leprosy. Okay, uneven distribution or the discoloration of the skin is called as leprosy, and the skin of the tree or the bark of the tree is discolored. Okay, there are variations of colors on the barks of the tree. Sprouting leaves. So, the leaves has to grow. Sprouting means what? To grow. So, a tree is not grown just like that overnight. Okay, years of consuming, waiting, patience, okay, living day by day, okay, enduring all the harsh temperatures, climates, everything the tree has to undergo to become into a gigantic figure. Not just like that a tree comes into living, like a human child. So, I hope you understood this stanza. Let us now move into the literary devices used in this stanza, and as seen, there is no rhyming scheme for this stanza and for the poem. There is no rhyme scheme for this poem. And consuming the earth is personification. Personification means imposing human qualities, okay, imposing human qualities to objects, ideas or non-living things is called as personification. Here the tree is personified as consuming, like eating, okay. So, here the consuming the earth is personified, the tree is personified as consuming the earth, okay. And leprous hide is a metaphor. And I hope you remember what is a metaphor, children. Metaphor means indirect comparison, okay, comparison which is made indirectly, like how hide is the skin of the bark I told you, and how is the skin? It is leprous, okay, it is like discolored, like a person who has leprosy, okay, that type of a skin this tree bark has. So, that is a metaphor here. So, we are done with the poetic devices used in this stanza. Let us move on to the next stanza, children. So, hack and chop, but this alone won't do it, and so much pain will do it. Not so much pain will do it. So, hack and chop. Hack is again cutting with heavy blows or striking heavy blows is called as hacking. So, hacking and chopping alone will not kill a tree. Though there is so much of pain involved, it will not be sufficient to kill a tree. Okay, this can be just directly implied with the human body. Just see if a human being or any part of the human body is amputated, and there is no thing as a person has to die, okay, the person still survives. Similarly, if you cut, okay, if you cut the tree also, it is not sufficient to kill a tree, even though there is so much of pain involved. The bleeding bark will heal, and from close to the ground will rise curled green twigs. The bleeding bark will heal. So, here also there is a reference with the human body. When there is a cut, a human body bleeds. Similarly, a tree when it is being cut, it also bleeds. But what will it bleed? It bleeds sap, or the juices from the bark will ooze out of the trunk of the tree. Okay, the bleeding bark will heal. Heal means recover. So, it is, even though it is going to bleed, it will recover in some amount of time. The bark will recover, and from close to the ground will rise curled green twigs. So, from the ground, the curled green twigs, the new twigs which are waiting to blossom will come out from the ground, okay, and miniature boughs. Boughs means branches, okay, the branches will sprout out of the earth waiting to grow into a very big tree one day, which if unchecked will expand again to former size. If you are not going to check on it, if you are going to leave it unattended, the twigs are going to bloom big into a new tree. So, that is the explanation of this stanza. Let us move on to the literary devices used in this stanza. As such, there is no rhyme scheme in this stanza, and we have alliteration. Alliteration means words starting with consonant sounds occurring in the same line is called as alliteration. In this we have bleeding bark. The ba sound, word starting with ba sound is occurring in the same line. This is called as alliteration. And bleeding bark is also having another poetic device called metaphor. So, metaphor means how is the bark? The bark is bleeding. Okay. How is the bark? The bark is bleeding. There is a comparison with the human term. Okay. When there is a cut, we bleed. Similarly, the bark is also bleeding. Okay. And there is one more poetic device, enjambment. Enjambment means the continuation of lines. Okay, the idea of one line is transferred to the next line also, or it might be continued for the next two lines also. There is no restrictions. Okay, it can be either continued to the next line or the following two lines also. The continuation of the idea from one line to the another is called as enjambment, and after every sentence there won't be any poetic device. For example, you can see here, so hack and chop. There is no poetic device, there is no punctuation mark here to separate this line from the second line. So, these two lines follow enjambment, and the bleeding bark will heal. There is no punctuation mark here, and from close to the ground will rise curled green twigs. So, these three lines have enjambment. Similarly, miniature boughs, which if unchecked will expand again to former size. All of these lines, though it is been split and written, it conveys only one idea. But since the idea is then transferred from one line to another, we call this as enjambment. All the four lines follow enjambment. Okay, children, we will move on to the next stanza. No, the root is to be pulled out of the anchoring earth. It is to be roped, tied and pulled out, snapped out or pulled out entirely out from the earth cave. So, here the poet says, it is not just enough to cut a tree to kill it. What actually would kill a tree is you have to pull the root out, you have to uproot the tree. Okay, the root is to be pulled out of the anchoring earth. Anchoring means what? Securing something firmly. Okay. Securing something firmly is called as anchoring, and the root would be anchored in the earth. Yes or no, children? A tree, okay, it is a very gigantic tree, it has to be supported by some thing, yes or no? The roots will support the tree, okay, and the earth will help the root to support the tree. So, in order to kill a tree, what you must do? You must uproot, you must pull the root out of the anchoring earth. It is to be roped, tied and pulled out and snapped out. Snapped out means what? Cut out. Okay. You have to tie it with a rope. Okay. Pull it forcefully out of the ground. Out from the earth cave. See here, the earth cave means what? It is hidden. Yes or no? The root is hidden under the earth. Okay. From the cave of the earth, it has to be pulled out, and the strength of the tree exposed, the source white and wet. So, the strength of the tree, where is the core of the tree? Where is the life of the tree? In the root. Yes, if you destroy the root, nothing can survive. Just compare this with the human being, children. A person can survive without ears or eyes or hands or legs, any part of the body, but there is no chance of survival without heart. Even without brain, somebody can survive. Okay, without heart, nobody can survive. Like that, the heart of the tree lies in its root. The life lies in its root. If you are going to uproot, you are like just extracting the life out of a tree. The source, okay, the strength of the tree is exposed. The tree is the strength, the root is the strength of the tree, and that when it is exposed, white and wet. So long it would have been under the ground, okay, under the earth. It would have been always moist, okay, and the color would be white. when it is uprooted, it would be still white and wet, full of moisture, the most sensitive, hidden for years under the earth. So, that is the most sensitive part of the tree. When you are going to touch it, it is going to lead directly to the death of the tree. Okay, it has been hidden, it has laid itself hidden under the earth for so long, supporting the tree. It is a major life system for the tree. Okay, it has been giving life for the tree hidden. It has been working under the ground in silence, and the tree is there living outside. Okay, the life of the tree is shown outside because of the hidden work of the root. Yes or no, children? So, that is how the poet is saying, if you have to kill a tree, just take the root off, okay, expose it outside. Only then, if you are going to touch the most sensitive part, and obviously it is going to kill the tree. So, let us now understand the poetic devices used in this stanza. So, pulled out is repeated in the poem, okay, it is repeated twice. So, it is repetition. I already told you repetition is used for laying emphasis, okay, to show the importance. Okay, if you pull out the root, that is all, the tree story is over. So, pulled out is being repeated. So, that is repetition. And alliteration. We also have alliteration. White and wet. The v sound is repeated. Occurrence of words starting with consonant sound in the same line is called as alliteration. Here the v sound is repeated, and the poem also has enjambment. Can you help me find this enjambment, children? Yes? See, and pulled out, snapped out. So, these two follow enjambment. And again here, and the strength of the tree exposed, the source white, this follows enjambment. Okay, the idea of one line is conveyed to the next line. This is called as enjambment. Understood, children? Shall we move on to the next stanza? Then the matter of scorching and choking in the sun and air, browning, hardening, twisting, withering, and then it is done. So, now you have uprooted the tree and you have thrown it outside. Now, what works? Even then the tree won't die. Even if you have uprooted and put, the tree doesn't undergo sudden death. No heart attack for the tree at all. No cardiac arrest for the tree at all. It will not die just like that even after uprooting. It has to die a slow death. Okay? It has to undergo the pain of death very slowly. See, then the matter of scorching and choking. Scorching means what? Very hot. I told you the root is the most sensitive part. When you are going to expose the most sensitive part and you are going to lay it, okay, and make it suffer the hot of the sun, the heat of the sun, and choking in sun and air. What is choking? Okay, blocking the passage of air, okay, so that they are not able to breathe. When somebody is choking you, you suffocate to death. It's a very terrible death, yes or no, children? Similarly, the tree also, when you uproot it, there is no reach for the tree to breathe. Everything is there in the ground. Everything comes for the tree from the ground through the roots. When you are going to pull the roots out, it is not going to breathe, it is not going to drink water, it will be suffocating, it will be choking for life. In the sun and the air, browning, hardening, twisting, withering, and then it is done. Okay, it has to brown day by day. It will start drying, the water content, it will get dehydrated, the water content and all will leave the tree. Then it will become hard, okay, twisting and withering, the leaves and all will fall. Okay, and after that slowly by slow, what happens? The tree it gives out its life, and then it is done. That's all the matter. The life of the tree is over. Understood, children? So, the poet has sarcastically brought, okay, he is a conservationist as I told you, and he is also a physician. So, he has brought the human body into a direct comparison with the tree, and he is just giving us the importance of not killing a tree. Cutting a tree is different. How killing a tree is painful for the tree. That is what is brought in this poem, and he has made a deliberate comparison with the human body. And it is gruesome. I know this amputation, this bleeding, this death, suffocation is all gruesome, okay, all are negative things, but he has brought everything to put in thoughts, okay, to give some peace of mind to the people how a tree will undergo death, okay. And then it is done. That is all. The chapter of the tree is over. So long, so many years it would have lived, okay, it would have seen so many climates, people, everything will come just to silence when you pull the roots off, and then it is done. So there is no such many rhyming poetic devices used in this stanza. It is just enjambment. Enjambment alone is there in this last 4 lines or 5-6 lines. Here we see then the matter of scorching and choking in the sun and the air, and this alone follows enjambment. Yes, children, let us move on. So the literary devices of the poem we have discussed already, but here is a summary of what are the literary devices. We saw there is no rhyming scheme, and enjambment I have listed where all the enjambment is followed, and metaphor is indirect comparison. I told you bleeding bark is a metaphor, and consuming, this is also a personification which is not listed, it is also there, and alliteration is bleeding bark and white wet, and repetition pulled out, okay, that phrase is repeated for twice for laying emphasis. So that is all with the poem, children. I hope you understood the poem and enjoyed it as well. Thank you, children. Meet you all in the next class.